Thank you. And before I get started, I just want to say how pleased I am to be able to partner with the SELC to organize these forums. And I want to thank each of you for being here and expressing your interest by coming, but then also doing something, doing lots of things in response to the things that you hear. I'm going to speak from this point so that this little PowerPoint that I have can be seen more easily. And I'm going to talk to you about the Move the Money project. And one of the quotes that the quote that we used as a theme for the forum, in a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. Was in Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. And in that, he spoke about a promissory note, a social contract that the nation had with every one of its citizens. And he pointed out the fact that that contract had not been fulfilled. Had not been fulfilled for African Americans in our country. Now, sadly, we have not made much progress. We've made some, but we haven't made much. And in fact, that promissory note has been, I don't know, subverted or turned into a liability or turned into a negative. Because if you believe the dominant worldview, government is bad. Smaller government is better. The only thing for government to do is incarcerate people and go to war.
That's it.
And as Laura mentioned earlier, almost 60% of the discretionary budget is going for the war making. And actually, I don't have a figure on how much is going to mass incarceration. In any case, our Move the Money project came out of a concern. It started about 8 years ago after the Great Recession began. And we were concerned that the recession, instead of being a wake-up call, that we needed to address the speculations of the bank, we needed to help people that were in need. Instead, it turned into an attack on social programs. It turned into a focus on the deficit as the problem. That we had to shrink government, government was spending too much, we had to cut off social programs, that we had to cut taxes. Because if we cut taxes, what was going to happen? The job creators would save us. So we were concerned that whole public debate was going in an absolutely the wrong direction. But somehow the nation, the media, was sort of caught in this trap. That it wasn't a question of how much to cut. It wasn't a question of whether to cut. It was a question of how much to cut. And I remember talking with people about the democratically controlled Senate versus the Republican-controlled House. And the House, I think, had proposed a $40 billion cut to food stamps. And what did the Democrats offer? $4 billion cut to food stamps over 10 years. So we were concerned about this problem, this lack of understanding about what the real issues were. And so we began the Move the Money project. And we held forums, we held a trial or a hearing on the fiscal cliff, where we put the perpetrators on trial. We did different kinds of public education and participated in national advocacy actions. But we felt like somehow we had to bring people together and mobilize more voices to speak out and say the truth that was so apparent to us. And so we began Move the Money Listening Project. And the project involved, if we can move to the next slide, It involved speaking with community leaders about needs in the community, the impact of budget cutting and austerity, revenue policy, wasteful military spending, and a vision of what they thought would help our community and our nation. And so next, please. Now, I could spend the whole forum talking about what we heard. Here's just a few things that we heard from these 40-plus leaders. They spoke about poverty increasing, not only in the inner city, but also in the suburbs, and that the largest, fastest growing group was young adult populations were falling into poverty. That many low and middle class community members were at severe risk of falling into poverty. Just a broken car, or sick child, or loss of child care, any of those things could cause them to become homeless. They saw that cutting social programs was short-sighted and would actually cost more in the long run. They saw that all workers should be paid a living wage that enables them to provide a decent life for themselves and their family. Who agrees with that?
Absolutely.
That our government policy should be directed to the benefit of all members of our community, not just the wealthiest. The wealthiest citizens and corporations should pay their fair share, and that we can institute public policies that create good jobs, stimulate the economy, and improve the lives of low and middle income people. We can do that. Government can fulfill its social contract.